these guys are sneaky. They don't want us finding it, and they don't want you guys finding it. So what they'll do is they'll either, leave a certain word like firearm or violence or extreme risk protection order. They'll put it on the very end of the margin, so it'll be cut off, and you can't actually control F it, even though the word's still there. But there's that little like hyphen or dash in the middle that will prevent the search engine from working correctly.
Wow, I did not know that was a thing, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's shady as shit. Welcome back, everybody, to the CF Podcast. I'm your host, Clint, and we've got a couple of very special guests with us today. We've got the Gun Owners of America, a couple of representatives here for GOA, not like politicians and stuff like that. I know you guys are better than that. But we've got Ben. It's always good to see you, bro.
Hey, man, how you
doing? Well, absolutely. It's good to see you, man. Doing well. Of course, I've got you guys in the room, so I'm super happy about that. And Steven, this is the first time you and I meeting.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you.
So new friendships here forming and all that. But I wanted to get you guys up here because we wanted to talk about some things. Obviously, some if I'm being blunt, some bullshit dropped before SHOT Show, right? And and I've spent a lot of time with you guys. We were at the Influencers Convention out in Maryland, and we had a really good time out there, just talking a lot about what GOA has been doing and all that type of stuff, and the fight for the Second Amendment, trying to preserve it, and then trying to get back, some of the crap that's been thrown at pretty much the 2A, I guess I want to say society, community, but overall, just there's been a lot of not even compromise, but infringements. And you guys have a very hard stance that I love, no compromise, right? And, Phil did a really good job kind of talking with us while we were at the convention a little bit. And he said, sometimes it might look like compromise, but that's not the case. Like, if you can go from, let's say you have a, permitless carry, that's awesome, right? But the state next to you, is kind of like North Carolina, where I'm from, where you have to have a concealed carry permit. But if you can go to constitutional carry from that, that's an absolute win. Or if you can go to permit carry and you weren't allowed to carry before, that's a win, right? So that's pretty cool stuff. But anyway, I wanted to get you guys up here today, just kind of talk a little bit, see what else GOA is into and what you guys have been working on, and anything you guys are willing to share. Let's just hop into it. First of all, how's the show going for you guys?
Oh, it's going all right, except for we're running around. I've got my Apple Watch telling me I'm doing like 10 miles a day at least. Yep. So we got to keep seeing what's going on, right?
Yeah, so you're going to appreciate the break a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's
yeah.
nice to sit.
Yeah.
Just for like a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah. So Ben, tell us, let all of our viewers here, because we've seen like a glimpse of you last SHOT Show. When you couldn't tell me what a proven reliable gleel was. It's fine though. But no. So tell us exactly what is your role at GOA? What is it that you do?
So right now I'm actually wearing a few hats.
Okay.
But my primary job is I'm a federal lobbyist, so that means I'm talking with congressmen and their staff. I'm also looking over ATF rules, ATF regulations, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You will not believe how many pages I've had to read. I don't know if your viewers will remember, but the omnibus package, so that was like 4,000 pages that we went through in one sitting, basically. It was 12 hours, a lot of Monster Energy's drank.
Let me guess, it doesn't come in audiobook format, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, okay, so you got to read over a lot of stuff, pretty much translate that, and then figure out how you guys can fight it ultimately.
Yeah, 100%. One of the biggest things about these pieces of legislation that's not 100% understood is that, Control F does exist.
Yeah.
However, these guys are sneaky. They don't want us finding it, and they don't want you guys finding it. So what they'll do is they'll either, leave a certain word like firearm or violence or extreme risk protection order. They'll put it on the very end of the margin, so it'll be cut off, and you can't actually control F it, even though the word's still there. But there's that little like hyphen or dash in the middle that will prevent the search engine from working correctly.
Wow, I did not know that was a thing, dude.
Oh yeah,
that's shady as shit.
It's very
wow. Okay, because I knew I had like a severe dislike, but now that's evolving, right? Yeah. That's evolving. Okay, so that's a lot. So what else? Tell me, what are some other secrets they try to do, throw out there?
So it gets worse. It gets worse. Yeah, it does. Jeez. In the omnibus package, what they have is kind of these things called like committee reports,
okay,
in which they'll argue, debate beforehand on certain things, and then write that up. So in the final omnibus package, you'll say anything that was agreed to in the committee hearing or in the final committee report is therefore accepted here unless explicitly mentioned. So what that means is we have to go all the way back. We have to go back in a few months, look through another 100, 200 pages for each individual budget, And that just takes a while. And that's why it took us 12 hours to get through the entire thing. Yeah, we could probably read straight through and be fine, but we have to keep going back and double checking and finding these little hidden gems, right?
So you got to go back to things that were, previously written, previously whatever the hell, and then you find what's referenced. And that's going to be in different packages and everything else too. Oh my God.
It gets crazy.
yeah, no kidding, man. So all right. So before we go any further, make sure you guys are supporting Gun Owners of America. they actually stand, fight for your right, and do a lot of reading and figuring out what it is that we do need to fight, because man, they are going to try to sneak whatever type of legislation in there. We've seen it happen time and time again, right? So, dude, that's a nightmare. Sorry you're having to go through all that, but we're also thankful that you are, right?
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. And Steven, man, so what's your role? What do you do with GOA?
Yeah. So basically, I'm one of the lawyers.
Yeah.
I'm one of the legal counsel, and there's a couple of us that when GOA identifies a legal issue, we figure out how to best attack it, where to best attack it, and then we go out and attack it.
Nice.
Kind of like what we did in Oregon over ballot measure 114, where some other organizations were like, let's go to federal court and we're going to go in here and we're going to do this. And we're like, oh, God, those judges are not great in the federal court. And, oh, man, you're in the Ninth Circuit, too. And, I have kind of a track record in the Ninth of winning and then losing as soon as the Ninth Circuit goes in bonk, because that's what they do. They go in bonk. They have a perfect 52-0 record of ruling against the Second Amendment.
Wow.
So it's like, well, who cares if you win in the district court? Because the Ninth Circuit's going to say, hey, we see you all over there. Why don't y'all come up here so we can overturn you? Because that's what they do.
Right.
And so we went into state court. And it wasn't a favored court. It wasn't the favored thing to do, going to state court. If you talk to some of these other attorneys, they're like, those people are crazy. And we won. We won on everything.
Dude, that is awesome.
We got BM 114 completely stayed. Period. End of story. Full stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. So, because I remember you guys, when we were at the convention, we got the call, and we were all in that cabin and everything. We got the call like, hey, the temporary restraining order in Oregon just got passed. Like we did this, And I was like, oh shit, this is cool. I'm here witnessing the victory, I'm like, that's pretty freaking neat. You know what I mean? So that was a cool experience.
Yeah, and there's so many things that go into these cases. So like right now, I'm here, not writing. And we've got other attorneys like Rob Olson, who's a great attorney and a great, just a fantastic writer. Who's back at home right now and at work on this Antonyuk brief, right? Because, we have this big New York carry case against the Concealed Carry Improvement Act. And it's such a bullshit thing for them to call it the Improvement Act.
Right.
And, shame on all of them, on Hochul, on all of those legislatures that immediately after Bruin came out, they're like, we can't have these people exercising their rights. We're going to pass this thing to make a permit basically worthless. And that's what they did. And just plain, you can't carry anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
So why have a permit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we got a temporary restraining order against them. And, the New York State's like, they didn't give us enough time to really support this and brief it. And they're like, you passed this law within 8 days of Bruin coming out. Shouldn't you have had your ducks in a row? Yeah, but they didn't. And so then we got a preliminary injunction. Temporary restraining order, and just for the people that don't know what that is, it's temporary.
Yeah. And
it stops them from doing something.
Right.
And a preliminary injunction is kind of like, you're going to stop doing this thing throughout the entirety of the litigation. And we got that too. State cried uncle to the Second Circuit. And the Second Circuit's like, yeah, we're not going to let that preliminary injunction go into effect. And so they stayed it. I know you're shocked, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
okay.
Big deal. Yeah.
So we went to the Supreme Court and we're like, hey, Supreme Court, remember that case that you just decided on June 23rd? Hey, look what New York's doing. The Supreme Court, while they did deny our application to vacate the stay, Justice Thomas and Justice Alito's like, we're looking at what you're doing now, Second Circuit. The district court gave a really good, thorough 184-page opinion on why this violated the Second Amendment. Oh, and the First Amendment. And the Second Circuit, y'all didn't give any reasoning for why you stayed the case. So either give a reason for why you stayed it or expedite it, and GOA come back again if something else goes wrong.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, so we've got all of these different cases, all of these different things going on. Illinois is out of the bag. So, GOA is going to be filing a lawsuit in Illinois over the assault weapons ban there.
Yep.
Golly, there's literally just so many different things going on right now. It's because the infringements will never stop.
No.
And they're just steady. one state sees something like New York's like, oh, sensitive places everywhere. And then New Jersey's like, oh, New York, that's a great idea. And then Hawaii's like, aloha. Yeah, that's a good idea. And so Massachusetts, it's like, well, that's not a bad idea. So like once one state comes up with something as stupid as they, And so like, we got to stop New York. They were the first ones. They're going to be the first ones to be defeated on this. And then we're going to go from there. You know, I said something funny, and I didn't even mean it to be funny. Like when we were writing the complaint against New York, Rob and I were thinking about all these stupid things they could do.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you know, they could just get a urine sample, right? Like when you're applying for a permit. I promise you, I think Nassau County, New York, read it, and they're like, yeah, urine sample. We need people's pee. So, yeah, it's funny, right? So Nassau County requires you to get to give a urine sample before you get a permit.
Oh God.
And I said that as kind of like a joke. I said it in front of Judge Sotheby in the district court. I said, Nassau County's reading our stuff because they're asking for us to give urine samples now. And the judge was like, what? I mean, like they're legitimately, they want your pee.
Is it for actually drug testing, or is it just because they want it?
Well, I hope it's for drug testing. I hope it is. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna like steal dossier someone else, but like I hope it's.
There's a new registry now.
Yeah,
urine registry. Yeah.
I mean, what else could it be for? Like, I guess alcohol and drugs. I don't know, but come on, what other right do you have that's predicated? Like, do you want to go register to vote? I need to see your pee. I need your pee.
Actually, you know what? In order to record this podcast, you guys didn't know it though when you used the bathroom.
Okay, that makes sense now.
So I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like all this kind of stupid stuff that they're just tacking on, step after step after step after step, to make it so difficult and just like atrocious. Like social media, you have to give New York State your social media. No, hell no.
Like, wait, all right, hold on. So like, okay, so I'm familiar with, a lot of what you're talking about. But New York State, so obviously I didn't know about the P thing.
Yeah, you got to give your pee.
But New York State, you have to actually give up your social media. So what do you have to do? Like, give them your password, or what exactly is it?
So they say no. They say you just have to list out your social media. But then they said that the licensing officer can basically ask any question they want when you go to your in-person interview, because that's what you do for constitutional rights.
Yeah.
I know. And so they said that you don't have to give up your passwords, but I'm like, but judge, and I said, this is all in the transcript. I'm like, but judge, the law requires them to look through it. I don't know what it's going to be like if I say, I'm sorry, my social media is private. And the licensing official is going to be like, oh, shucks.
Yep.
Those pesky kids, trick a licensing officer with this one weird trick, like, what the hell are wrong with these people, And so, they said no. Nassau County says, yes, we want your passwords, and you're going to have to friend one of us.
Wait a minute, time out. This keeps going. There's no way,
Nassau.
Dude.
I don't know what the hell is wrong with these people in Nassau County. It's like, I don't know if they're high or what's wrong with them. But yeah, so they're asking for all kinds of stuff.
Wait, so in order to get a permit, you not only have to pretty much just give up your social media, like, hey, here's everything I've ever posted, whatever.
Within 3 years.
Within 3
within 3 years. So it's limited.
Right. So hey, that's okay, cool. That's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
And then, but you have to be friends with one of the officials, I guess.
Well, if your Facebook is set to friends only, and they can't view your Facebook.
Oh my God.
I mean, you might be like,
I get it.
You might have put something on Facebook that would prove that you don't have good moral character.
Yeah.
And we need to know about it. This is for your own safety.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure somebody like me who says every American should and does have the right to defend themselves, doesn't matter your race, color, creed, or anything, that might be looked at as a little extreme.
I don't know. It sounds a little racist.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. Like, all of this is so messed up. But all of the I call them the commie states.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like California.
It checks out.
Yeah. So all these states are going to that stuff. The same states that were called out in Bruin, that were overturned in Bruin.
Yep.
And it's like, what is it going to take for you to get the message? I'll tell you what it's going to take. Remember when the South, they integrated the schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they.
Well, I mean, I wasn't alive.
I know, me neither, right? But so, like, let's pretend that we were alive, and they sent the National Guard in there, and they're like, "You're going to integrate these schools. These 6 black kids are going to get to go to school."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to take for New York to issue permits and respect the Second Amendment. It's going to take some kind of federal receivership. A judge is going to have to sign off. New York, you want to pass a law? You can't until this judge signs off and says it's legit. And it ain't going to be a New York judge. It's going to be some Mississippi judge from where I'm from that's going to have to come up there and say, we're going to have someone that respects the Second Amendment come in and say that law doesn't violate the Second Amendment, whatever it is. I don't know. I can't think of one that doesn't violate the Second Amendment. But let's just pretend that one exists.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that is mayhem. So, oh my God. All right. So let's, you know what? Just change a topic really quick. Not so much as a huge change of topic, because we're going to be talking about something that's obviously affecting potentially up to 40 million people. And I'm talking about the braces, right? Because here's what's really funny. Whenever the ATF ruling came out on January 13th, right? The Friday before SHOT Show. Here we are in Vegas. ATF has their booth set up. I'm sure they're getting a lot of love. I see the ruling. I start reading through it. It's already massive, right? You obviously have a lot more discipline than I did, because you know what I did? I went straight to Control F. and I was like, okay, you know what? What am I Controlling F'ing? First thing I did was type in classic firearms. I was like, what are the odds, right? Let's just see if we're mentioned. Holy shit, yes, we are. So that's when I called you. I was like, hey, Ben, Classic Firearms is mentioned twice. So is Military Arms Channel. So is Mr. Guns and Gear. I feel like that's giving us some street cred, right? I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But they've actually rented the date of the video that we posted in which I am shouldering a brace. Oof. And I'm like, that's cool, man. That's cool. Are you guys going to represent me? Now, here's the thing, though. So this is the funny thing, right? Because this is a ruling, right? This is a ruling. And within this ruling, we have, 120 days, essentially, to register our pistols, right? If it's a braced item or whatever else, right? And so just so there's more knowledge based around this, what all do law-abiding citizens right now have to do in order not to be felons within the next 120 days?
Goodness.
Well, so it's the 120 days hasn't started yet. Well, depending on when this comes out.
Right.
But the 120 days is after it's posted in the Federal Register.
Okay.
So then the time would start clicking.
Got it.
There are certain options, and you would feel comfortable saying that almost all of the pistol brace firearms are now no longer legal, correct? Or they're now considered illegal SBRs?
So it's a tough answer, right?
Because the ATF makes it really easy for us.
Right. They're super awesome people, right? And all of their rules are super clear. And this is the difficulty in answering this question is intentional by them. It's a feature. It's not a bug that this is difficult to answer, right? Because you have some pistol braces that are just that. They're pistol braces. Yeah. All of the pistol braces are braces. But you have some that, like, let's say that I've got my phone right here, and it's got a very small surface area.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be really useful as a stock. Could it be shouldered? Sure, it can be shouldered.
Yeah.
Anything can be shouldered if you're brave enough.
That's true.
Yeah. So you have to factor in the other criteria. So, like, on my pistol AR, I have a Phase 5 buffer tube, the one with the padded, whatever. Mm-hmm. That is a rearward accessory, like the rule claims, right?
Okay.
Because they don't say just pistol braces. They say, is it a rearward accessory? Okay, whatever. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, but is it necessary for the function of the firearm? Well, in my case, it is. It's necessary. So I think, and I am a lawyer, and I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I think that mine is not an SBR because it is not functional. Really, it is a rearward accessory, but it's required to be
function.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't weighed it. I haven't checked the length of pull, which doesn't exist in the statute or the regulations, but the ATF looks at it. I haven't done all the other stupid stuff. The ATF. I'm watching my language here.
You don't have to. It's
I know. I feel like I need to because I'm a lawyer. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Just fucking say it.
So it's like it's just all of this stuff. I feel like it's not an SBR.
Right.
I'm not going to register it.
So that's how you feel.
Right.
Okay. We know feelings are very important.
They
so
are.
Maybe that'll play into that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel like it wasn't designed and intended to be built into a rifle because I'm the one that built it.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never shouldered it. Yeah. I'm 6'1", 250, and it's got like a little I don't know.
Stubby tube.
I tell my wife that's about 10 inches. It's probably not, but it's a small extension buffer tube, whatever, Phase 5, whatever it is. Yeah. I could do it, but
it's not exactly the most comfortable thing.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
It has a red dot on the front. I hold it like this when I shoot it.
Yeah.
like this. I don't know. Does it come across well?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for people that are just listening, he held it out in front of him in a manner that one would do with an MP5K with a single point sling.
Wow.
Look at
Nice.
that.
That's a
You like
good
that?
visual.
SAS style, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's not as cool as that, but yeah, it's like it's something like that. Yeah.
Dude, all right, so it's absolutely ridiculous. So, but yeah, you know, because like I said, when the ruling came out, I was like, oh God, here we go, right? And I've already interviewed here at SHOT Show a couple of brace manufacturers and other people that are like, dude, this is our whole livelihood.
Yeah.
Right? This is our whole livelihood. And people don't understand, too, just exactly what the economic effect would be if you were to do like an entire ban, right? You want to ban, like, I don't think people understand. You come to SHOT Show, you get it, right? But people don't understand just how big the firearms industry is, right? I mean, first of all, this is America. All right. We are obviously big fans and like our guns. In fact, the reason we have this country is because, well, it was a bunch of dudes with illegal guns not paying their taxes, getting our freedom. Yep. Right. So how about that? Go figure. I think
drinking in a bar.
And drinking in a bar.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you got one of those guys like as your logo.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty cool. And you even have like the Minuteman.
The Minuteman moment.
militia? Yeah. Minuteman moment and all that type of stuff. Right. So kind of a big deal. Firearms are. Right. And you take away now that entire industry. Well, we already got not exactly a fantastic economy right at the moment, and so now you're going to expedite that as well, right? So that's just kind of fun whenever you think about it, because you start talking to these guys, and some of these guys are legitimately concerned, like, 6 months from now, am I this industry that I've dedicated my whole life to, what am I going to do for my family?
Dude, I talked to someone yesterday that did 20 million in sales last year.
Wow,
20 million.
Yeah.
And, I don't mean to, I'm not being rude to anyone. I'm not like throwing rocks and dropping salt on anybody. But I'm a lawyer. I sue people. I sue the government for money.
Thank you.
For fun and profit.
Thank you.
It's not really for profit,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, it's because it's the right thing to do. And these companies that are out there selling it, they're kind of, I don't know if they're going to be, well, that was a good run while it lasted. We're going to move on to something else.
Right.
Or we're in the fight. $20 million in sales is not a small number of sales.
No.
So it's like, what are you going to do? Because I don't have $20 million on the table, but you do. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to wait for people like me and GOA to just say like, well, GOA is going to fight it? Or are you going to put some money up and say, let's get a whole bunch of freaking lawyers and fight this? Because like now's the time to fight with, the legal way.
Yeah.
Because well, the other way is unpalatable, but we have to do it. We have to do it the legal way, but it takes a lot of attorneys and it takes a lot of money.
Right.
And like, look at the bump stock litigation. GOA has a case in the Sixth Circuit. Well, it's back down in Michigan now because the Sixth Circuit couldn't decide what it was. Fifth Circuit said it's not a machine gun, which is great. I have a sister case on the Federal Circuit, so we're just kind of all waiting. But that litigation was started like 2018, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, son of a bitch, it's 2022 right now. We got our first win right now, like, 3 weeks ago in the Fifth Circuit? I mean, litigation is not something that you just file a lawsuit and then the ATF's like, oh, you're right, we're wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that unless you're the anti-gun side.
Well, yeah, there's that. And were you referring to something like in 2022? Because it's 2023 now.
It's 2023. God bless it. Where have I been?
Been working too hard,
No,
right?
what it is, actually, it's day 2 of SHOT Show, so I already get it, man.
Yeah.
I get it, right?
Yeah.
So, but, dude, I hear you. So, and, that's actually a really good thing, to kind of put that word out there, because you guys are obviously doing, you're fighting for it, and that's great. And so, yeah, keep suing the government, keep trying to get that money from them. I put it this way, I pay a lot of taxes to that same government that's also trying to restrict me and my rights. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah. But at the same time, I donate to you guys as often as I can, right? And I kind of do one of those things where I know you guys have like the monthly subscription stuff. I should probably just do that, but every now and then I'm like, hey, you know what I haven't done today? I haven't really talked shit about the ATF, and I haven't donated, I haven't donated $20 to GOA. I'm gonna go do that real quick. So that's kind of like just on my mind. And I know that Classic Firearms, we've been talking with Kaylee and we're setting up with our tech team too, just getting the donation button. Hey, just round up. Round up, 90 cents, 10 cents, whatever it might be. You want to do an additional, couple of dollars, $100, whatever it might be.
It adds up. I mean, like, I said this at the influencer thing, talking about Aiden and Ben.
Yeah.
And, I said, thank God. I said then, I'll say it again. Thank God for them. Because I'm like slammed with work
Yeah.
100% of the time. Like I don't even know what year it is, obviously. So, you know, there's so much on my plate in legal that we have people like Ben and Aiden are like, hey, there's bills coming out, you know, like here's like extracting some information here, extracting some information there. I don't have time to read 4,000 pages of bill. I would probably jump out this window if you told me I had to do that. I did read the whole brace law on the way over on the airplane, which was, if I could have jumped out of then, I probably would have done the same thing. But luckily,
I think a lot of people on that plane would be a little upset.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't do it. But you know, it's people. It's all of GOA as an organization. All of the time, all of the money, all of the resources that are spent in fighting back and educating people on what rights are being taken away from them. You know, it's not only in New York, it's in California. God, it's in Hawaii. Ugh, it's in all of these commie states.
You know, just to give a little credit to Hawaii, though, they did issue their first concealed carry permit, I think, recently.
Yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? I mean,
Curious.
10 years of litigation. You know, I was in the Young case.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a hell of a lot of time to spend in litigation. Like I've never had a case go for 10 years before. Wow. Like what? You know, in law school, like I graduated 2007. If they would have said, hey, look, you're going to have a case in your career that's going to last 10 years, I would have been like, I'm not doing this. You know, like it's just, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, man. And, you know, like I said, I'm glad that we got, you know, an organization like you guys out there that's actually, you know, putting in those late hours, man. Yeah, and like I said, Ben, the moment that ruling came out and I saw Classic Firearms mentioned in the footnotes, I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And I was like, you know, I call them out all the time and about, you know, and I kind of always give a little, I guess you could say just, I'm kind of subtle about it. You know, every now and then I'll put a video out and we'll be talking about an AR pistol or something like that. And I may or may not just, you know, just kind of like, just look at it, stop and just like, shoulder. All right, I'm you know, sorry, you know, I don't mean to like, you know, poke the bear, but at the same time, this is ridiculous.
It is.
Right? So it's like, dude, what
and
more
they
can
know
we
it's
do?
ridiculous.
Yes.
And they know it's ridiculous. The whole rule is ridiculous. All of their comments responding to our comments are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like all of it's nonsense. Like how can you trust them to even with the rule that they've got in front of you? Well, for 10 years we said this and then we said this and then we said shouldering's bad and we've said it's okay. And like so I'll use myself as an example. If I went in and I said to my wife like 10 years ago, well, we're going to do it this way. And then I say like a couple months later, no, we're going to do it this way. And I say, we're going to do it this way. And then I come back and I say, no, we're going to do it this way. She would be like, I just can't trust anything you say.
Yeah.
And I'd say, yeah, you're right.
Right.
But I'm the government and you're going to do it the way I say.
But I wear the pants and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. And so that's what the ATF is doing. And so I can't trust anything they say. Even when they come out and they put it in black and white in the pleading in front of the court, like they did in that Brandon, like legitimate Brandon, whatever manufacturing, about bump stocks. The week before the bump stock rule came out, they're like, bump stocks aren't machine guns in a federal court. And then the week later, they're like, bump stocks are machine guns. Did you get that message? Bump stocks are machine guns. And I'm like, you just said in this case, they're not machine guns.
And then they're going to gaslight you and say, no, I didn't.
No, well, we put it in front of the court, and the court's like, yeah, well, they're the ATF. You know, they can say, they can kind of do it.
Oh.
But you can't trust what they say. No. And I'll tell them that to their face. Like, I don't have a problem saying that because, like, I don't need you to trust me. Just look at their history.
Right.
Bump stocks, shoestring machine guns.
Yeah.
You know, water bottle firearms, solvent trap. I mean, just pick something.
On.
Right,
Yeah.
just pick something.
Right.
I mean, more recently in the frame and receiver case, they said that the parts kits aren't firearms, and then they switched their mind.
Yes.
What was it? They said that parts kits weren't firearms?
Well, you could sell the 80% lower as long as you don't put all the other stuff to it. Because as soon as you put instructions, jigs, templates, drill bits, then it becomes a firearm. And now it's like, no, it's not the extra stuff that matters. It's just the lower.
Okay, so hear me out.
Okay.
You can still buy the lower, separate, and all the other components.
You know, I want to tell you yes. I really do. So we represented JSD Supply.
Yeah.
Okay. And we tried to get the ATF to say, what can we sell?
Right.
And they wouldn't tell us.
So, radio silence.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the story.
Yeah.
So tell us like which part, at what part, because we need to know to be able to advise our clients. What can we tell them, because they want to stay in compliance.
Right.
What can we tell them that they can sell?
figure it out.
Does this phone work? No. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And then, it was like back and forth. Like, we need to be able to advise the clients. As an attorney, we look to you to tell us this so we can tell our clients that. And you're making it really difficult.
So the same government ultimately that tells you, hey, we know how much money you owe in taxes,
Right.
but it's up to you to figure it out. And if it's wrong, you're going to have to owe a shit ton or face jail time, is telling us we don't know, or actually not saying we don't know. We're just saying quiet on what you as a compliant business can sell. So that's
100%. I mean,
That's fun.
Getting back to the pistol brace ban.
yeah.
In the proposed rule, they had a worksheet, so ATF worksheet 4999.
Yep.
And they had point system, and we put out a calculator on it. Actually, that's one of my first projects here at GOA, was making that, like, going
The calculator?
through. Yeah, making
Oh,
the
that's cool,
calculator.
man. Yeah, use that. See how high I can get.
Exactly. Everyone's like, get a high score.
Right.
So that was a little bit more like, hey, there's an objective. They give examples of that. Now, in the final rule, they completely got rid of that. And they said, "Ooh, it's too confusing. Ooh, whatever."
So all that hard work you put in,
Yeah, I
making
know,
that
right?
calculator just
Right.
went out the window.
Exactly.
Damn.
But the more concerning thing is now people, I mean, Steven can tell you, he thinks that, his, what you call it,
My own
Yeah, your
own
own.
gun.
is fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a 6'2" guy. I'm not 6'2". And so maybe his gun that he uses and is perfectly fine as a pistol wouldn't be okay on me because I've got shorter arms and I got short body, so my length of pull is different. And if it could say, oh, it's closer to your shoulder, and if like it hits there, that's an SBR. That is the crazy part because we don't. There's so much leeway. There's so much. It's a lot. Yeah, it's up to the discretion of the agents at this point, and a lot of them will probably say something along the lines of like, well, in my opinion, it is a SBR, and you need to register it. But we don't know because they're not giving anything.
Yeah, let me like destroy your just mind even more.
It's already blown.
I know, but so all of this stuff, the ATF doesn't talk about appeals in any of the brace rule. And do you know why? It's because there's no appeals process for NFA stuff. So if you get denied an NFA item, NFA items are firearms, right? So even a suppressor, the law classifies them as a firearm,
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, which I'm using.
I mean, again, all of this is.
Yeah, I know. all of it's stupid. All of it's stupid. So what they don't talk about. So let's pretend that you're 100% compliant bootlicker guy. Okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Totally
Okay.
me, yeah.
So you've got this shiny AR pistol because the ATF told you that your brace pistol is a pistol.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, it could be. Maybe it's an SPR. Maybe they're right. And they know best because they're the government. They're here to help you. So I'm going to take this amnesty, and I'm going to register it. And so you do your Form 1, you photograph, you do your fingerprints, you submit it, and you're like, whew, I did it. I'm 100% compliant. I'm a compliant bootlicker. And so in, let's say 95 days, you get a letter from the ATF saying that your background check remained open for over 88 days. Therefore, it's an automatic denial. What?
Wait,
No.
wait.
Yeah.
So hold on. Now that has nothing to do with you as an individual, though. You submitted everything that you were supposed to submit.
Okay.
Right?
Well, your background check remained open for 88 days, sir. So you're an automatic denial.
But who's performing the background check?
The ATF does it while using NICS.
Okay. So the ATF is performing the background check. You've submitted all the paperwork and the photograph and the fingerprinting, but it's somehow your fault that they didn't get it done in enough time?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're denied. So guess what? You've told the ATF that you have an SBR,
Right.
Because you say it when you file that Form 1, you have an SBR,
Right.
They have your photograph, they have your fingerprint, they have your address. I can't see into the future, but we could guess at what would happen next.
I don't know. It sounds like an R and ends with registry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it also sounds like a warrant. And maybe your door getting kicked in by
There
the
it
people that
is.
like to shoot dogs.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things like you're potentially having some really big Fifth Amendment issues come forward. You could have some other issues as well because, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes, unlike Hunter Biden. I do all this other stuff, and I don't expect for people to come kick my door in.
Right.
Okay? So if someone kicks my door in, I think that they're there to kill me.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to shoot first.
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay, so now what's that going to look like when I shoot people coming through my door and it happens to be cops?
Yeah.
That's not going to go well for me.
No.
It's not. So, all from me trying to be a compliant person and register something, the NICS is a disaster. It comes back all the time with people that are unlawfully denied. I've got tons of cases in D.C. I can name the cases; they're all there. I've got one currently over NFA appeals because you're not allowed to appeal an appeal. You're not allowed to appeal an NFA denial.
Right.
So now what?
So now you're just stuck there with you've
It rhymes with stuck.
Yeah, right. Or maybe stucked. But here's so it's kind of like that column, right? You see the guy, it's that meme, it's like, here's what I get, here's what you get type of thing, It's like, I get all your personal information. I get all the stuff that, I've ever wanted from you. You get denied.
Yeah, but see, it's denied in the form of, you're not really a prohibited person. You're denied. But you're in possession of an SBR.
Right.
And let's say they don't do it for 121 days. Well, now you're outside of the amnesty period. Right?
Yeah.
So now what? Well, so now what's even worse, right? Because so typically when you go to Form 1 something, let's say I want to build a suppressor, or let's say I want to build an SBR and just make it the same. I'll file my Form 1. I might have a rifle. Like I've built an AR-15 rifle, okay? And I go to Form 1 it, and I say I want to make it a short barrel rifle because I want to put a 7-inch barrel on it. I don't have the 7-inch barrel yet. I have to order it.
Right.
But first I have to get the stamp. So what they've done is they've changed the order of this stuff because now I have the AR pistol, which they say is an SBR. I'm Form 1ing it, and they say, we're in our enforcement discretion. We're not going to charge you with any crime, assuming you've submitted this form. Keep your receipt. It's in the rule. It's in the rule. Keep your receipt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep your receipt.
So as soon as they deny it because of my open background or I don't know, some other reason, then I've got an SBR that's not registered. I mean, it's 10 years in jail and $250,000 fine.
Right. So yeah, you are screwed. I mean, there's no other way around that. And let's talk about the numbers too, right? Because Isaac from T-Rex Arms, he put out on Instagram a really good numbers game, right? He broke it down like, hey, let's just say that in theoretical, there's so many ATF agents, there's so many people, there's so many pistol braces and all this type of stuff, and there's so much time that you have in order to get approved and all this, or else you're, a felon. Right.
And it's not a little thing.
Yeah.
It's a felon.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of broke it all down, and it's like, it pretty much just said, this isn't going to work. Like this isn't possible. So what are we left to do? And so then you got people that are wanting to, they want to abide by the law, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people just want to abide by the law. And it's like, okay, cool. I can respect that. But at what point do we finally say this is absolutely ridiculous? You are making me, who was a law-abiding citizen, now all of a sudden a felon overnight, and or over at least 120 days. That depends, though. If I still do everything you've asked of me, and you come back and say, nope, you didn't do it in enough time, even though you did submit everything exactly when you were supposed to, except it comes down on them not doing their job in enough time. Here's what we've got. We know that you are in possession of one of these items that we deem now illegal.
100%.
So you'll hear from us soon. Knock, knock. Right? I mean, what's
I don't think they're knock.
Yeah, they don't call them no knock for a reason.
Yeah. So there's that, right? So I mean, dude, that's a scary thing.
But that's just one of the things.
That is just one of the things. That's the other thing, because right now, technically, so this isn't here yet. That's the thing, yet. So I know you guys are fighting to try to never let it get here. I understand that, but so there's a lot of what ifs, right? Like that's pretty much kind of what we're going off of. But it makes sense. But it's also been proven time and time in the past before, right? I mean, we've already seen some bad things happen with red flag laws, right? I mean, so that stuff. It wasn't. There was a lot of what ifs there. Like, oh well, what if you get a mad ex-wife that wants all of a sudden, get just all your guns taken away, right? Yep. All of a sudden, Call said, oh, yeah, he threatened me with a firearm.
Sure. And
he said he was going to kill his whole family, including me and himself. You might want to go, talk to him. All of a sudden, it's, and again, not knock. It's, hey, open up. We're here to confiscate your firearms. And it's like, who the hell are you? I haven't done anything. What are you talking about, right? And so then, and those weren't theoreticals. I mean, obviously, I don't have a list off the top of my head exactly what this happened. But these things happen, though. And that's a scary thing.
Yeah. But they're there for your protection. We're going to keep you safe.
Scariest words. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
And I'm here to help.
And it's never going to stop, man. I mean, it's, every day they come out with something new. It's either a state doing it, it's the federal government doing it. Yeah. I'll tell you one of the craziest things I've seen happened with two words, or local. And you're thinking, like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right.
Or local. Misdemeanor crime of domestic violence will preclude you from having a firearm for life if you get convicted of it, right? So in June of 2022, they changed 2 words in the misdemeanor crime of domestic violence statute.
Okay.
Most people don't know about this. They added the words or local to federal, state, or tribal law. Because federal, state, or tribal law, if you're convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, and I'm not saying that people that beat their spouses should have guns, right?
Yeah, right.
But federal, state, tribal law does not include local law. And there's tons of cases on it that says Congress was specific when they said federal, state, or tribal law. So if you're convicted of a federal crime, a state crime, or a tribal crime of domestic violence, you're banned from having guns. Congress knew this, and they added or local in some garbage bill that they passed that no one saw. I mean, we see it, of course, because we know what they're doing, because this is like the space that we live in. But I deal with people that have, denials from NICS, from crimes that were local crimes. I can't think of anyone right now, but I had a guy a couple months ago that's like, I got into a verbal altercation with my wife. She called the cops. The cops come. The cops will arrest the person who's not, that. When the cops show up to a domestic, someone's going to jail.
Yes.
Period. And that's what happened to him. And they got him on some kind of aggravated something, but it wasn't like a violence crime. It was like a yelling something.
Yeah.
So he had a local domestic. And FBI was trying to say that's a domestic violence. And I'm like, that's a local crime. It's an ordinance that he violated because that's what he was convicted of. We're just going to assume that he violated it.
Okay.
It wasn't violent, but he violated the ordinance. It's a local law. It doesn't count. And now it does.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. With the addition of 2 words, or local.
They expand upon, even though, like you're saying, I mean, in order to commit violence against someone, that's usually hands-on. Right? Isn't that how we typically define that?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're talking about Lautenberg, right?
Yeah.
Lautenberg.
Yeah. So they increase Lautenberg. So because you have 50 states, right? You have one federal government, and you have a bunch of little tribal governments.
Yeah.
How many freaking local governments do you have that can pass their own bullshit ordinances and make a domestic violence out of anything?
I see. Yep. So now all of a sudden it goes beyond that. So I see exactly what you're saying. So it's like, because, and see, this is exactly the way that some people are going to look at it. It's like, oh my God, they're defending domestic violence people,
Yeah.
So I can talk about that. In the Violence Against Women Act is something that they tried to do this before, but we stopped it the first time with the help of many women's rights groups. They were like, hey, this isn't helping domestic violence victims. This is expanding it, and this is taking away gun rights from people that might need it. And Stephen's right. One of the hypotheticals we had was domestic violence would be expanded to verbal confrontations, and just if you're having an argument with your spouse.
Because that never happens, right? Married people never argue. Never.
I want to know. But that's exactly it. And in this case, say, hey, the police arrest the woman. But it's actually she's the victim. She's now banned from buying a gun. She's not able to defend herself. If her spouse decides to get violent and to threaten her life, she's banned under these new laws from being able to own a firearm and protect herself. And that was the craziest thing. And we talked to these women groups. They're like, hey, let's work together. Let's form a coalition and let's stop and actually help domestic violence victims. And let's make changes.
Right.
But this isn't how you do it. Everyone is trying to say that their anti-gun thing is actually pro something else, and it's not. And it's solely anti-gun, and they're trying to use it as a facade to cover.
Especially when they use names like the Violence Against Women's Act.
Exactly.
So they try to go ahead and get the emotional part of it, right? Like, oh my God, you see that, right? So that's just how you look at it, right? So I got you, man. I know your time's getting short there, but no, I'm glad we're bringing light to this, and talking about all of this because it needs to be heard, right? And it needs to be brought to light. It needs to be completely exposed.
It does,
especially again the entire Control F thing.
Yeah.
I can't believe that, dude. How shady are you in order to go out there and make sure you hyphenate words so that way, because what are you supposed to do? What if they hyphenate, the FI between the RE, for firearms, and now all of a sudden you have to Control F FI, and
you have to read it all.
Yeah.
They want you to read all 4,000 pages.
Yeah.
Because that takes up your time and it stops you from doing other things.
Right.
It takes my time. I don't know how many hours it took me to really understand almost 300 pages of crap.
Yeah.
And really think it through, because they don't talk about appeals. And most people aren't going to think about appeals because they don't talk about it. And so they're not going to talk about open open background checks for 80 days because most people don't understand the NICS system that the ATF uses.
Right.
To have an 88-day open background. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, why are you stopping at 88 days?
Yeah.
Because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, 90% of the false positives of NICS 90% of the denials through the NICS system are false positives, meaning that the system will say that they're a prohibited person, but in actuality, they're not. And none of these cases don't make it ever to judge, jury.
Yeah.
They are simply either, people that share the same last name. That's a big thing in certain minority communities.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you have the same last name, you have the same, eyes, gender, et cetera, like race, and the system will say it's the wrong person and deny that person from owning.
I had this happen with a guy in Oklahoma who was a white surgeon in Oklahoma, one of the biggest hospitals. He just so happened to have like one of the most common names you can think of.
Smith?
Stewart.
Okay.
Right. But first name's the same too. So in his hospital, there were 3 Dr. Stewarts in just his hospital in Oklahoma. For some reason, the FBI thought he was another Dr. Stewart in New Jersey, didn't have a middle name. It was a black doctor in New Jersey that had a restraining order against him. So they sent the ATF take-back team for a firearm that he had just purchased in Oklahoma and said, oh, wait a second. You're not the black doctor from New Jersey. I'm sorry, we got the wrong guy. FBI is like, why did you not take the firearm back? ATF said, well, he's not that guy from New Jersey. He's a white doctor in Oklahoma. And FBI wanted to send them back again, send the ATF take-back team again and say, no, you have to go get that firearm. The ATF said no.
Wow.
Which, I know, I'm shocked.
Whoa, hold on.
But I sued the FBI to overturn that. And they're like, after I sent him the passport, his driver's license, it's like all this other crap that I had to send him, they're like, oh, we agree he's not the black guy from New Jersey. I'm like, aren't y'all better at your job than this? Like, this guy has to pay me to defend him and like restore his firearm rights that he never lost.
Wow.
Anyways, it happens all the time, bro. All the time.
That's crazy, man. Well,
yeah.
Hey, I know our time's got to get cut short a little bit here. We got other places to be because it's SHOT Show and meetings and appointments all over the place. Yeah, but hey, I'm gonna look at this as kind of like our part 1. I want to have you guys back, of course, and we got to continue talking about this because it's never gonna stop.
Never stop.
Yeah. So.
All gun laws are infringements.
Thank you. That's absolutely right.
That's right.
So guys, Ben. We can obviously find gun owners, at gun owners on Instagram, right? GOA, and of course, gunownersofamerica.com, all that type of fun stuff. Ben, where can they find you, man?
So you can find us on our YouTube, which is Gun Owners of America.
Yeah.
I've got a few videos up. I just started as the new host. But you can find me on my work account at Real Asian Gun Lobbyist. The guy with the Daewoo.
The guy with the Daewoo. That's right, dude. Oh my God. When you came out with your rooftop Korean post, I laughed quite a bit. So I appreciate that. And Steven, where can they find you, man?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. I basically just troll the government. I'm Stambo2A.
Yeah.
Stambo2A.
Stambo2A.
Best follow you can make.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man.
It's pretty crazy. I'm on a list.
Yeah. I think we all are at this point. But man, thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, Gun Owners of America, absolutely love the organization. Looking to work closer with you guys too as soon as I can. And well, God bless. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you at the CF Podcast.